Let us do some linear programming. This is 2025 paper 2 mathematics section B. So we want says a man wishes to bake two types of scones. So type P and type Q for sale. So he must make at least, right? There is at least 10 scones of type P and at least 20 scones for type Q. So this information is very important. At least 10 scones of type P and at least 20 scones of type Q. So the number of scones of type Q must not exceed twice the number of scones of type P. Very important. So he intends to bake not more than 20 scones altogether. So I have just underlined the important information. Let us now look at the first part of this question. So given that X represents the number of scones of type P and Y represents the number of scones of type Q, write for inequalities which satisfy the conditions above 4 points. Okay, so from this statement right here, X represents the number of scones of type P. I write here number 1 that X is equal to number of type P scones. Okay, then number 2 I write Y is equal to number of type Q scones. Okay, now let us go ahead and go back in this statement, like in the question. So I erase here. So the question says he must, right? He must bake at least 10 scones of type P. So at least 10 type P scones, right? So remember type P is X, so we want X. So at least it means greater or equal to, right? So X should be greater or equal to 10. Okay, at least. So that is the first inequality, meaning that you can bake 10 or more, right? 10, 11, 20, going more. You cannot do 9 because you want at least 10 of them. Okay, then the next one says at least 20 of type Q, but Q is Y, so we want Y to be greater or equal to 20. Okay, then the number of scones of Q, right, must not exceed twice the number of scones of P. So number of scones of Q, remember Q is Y, should not, right, must not exceed. They can be the same, but they should not be more than. So it should be less than or equal to twice X, right? The number of scones of type Q must not exceed twice the number of scones of type P. So that is Y less or equal to 2X. Now the last line says he intends to make or to bake not more than 20 scones altogether. So if you add the X scones plus Y scones, they must be less than or equal to 60. So less or equal to 60 means the sum not more than 60, right? Not more than 60. So we have our four inequalities: X greater or equal to 10, Y greater or equal to 20, and Y less or equal to 2X, and X plus Y less than or equal to 60. Now let us look at the second part of this problem. It says from the first part, let us use the scale of 2 centimeters to represent 10 units on each axis. We want to draw X and Y axis for X between 0 and 60, Y between Y and 60. Then we are going to shade the unwanted region to show clearly where the solution of the inequalities must lie. Okay, so let us go ahead into, so let me just do a quick recap. So remember, X is greater or equal to, let me just write on top here. So remember, X is greater or equal to 10, and we have Y is greater or equal to 20, and y is less or equal to x, and x plus y is less or equal to 60. Okay, so on the graph here, each box represents 10 units, right? 2 centimeters represent 10 units. So that is why on the x-axis we have 10, 20, 30 to 60, and on the y-axis the same. So x is greater or equal to 20. So remember, for greater or equal to, it should be a full line, but if we are saying x is greater or equal to 10, right, we first of all start with drawing the line x equal to 10. So this is the line x equal to 10 right here. I will label it, right, x equal to 10, this one right here, the first one. Then for x greater than or equal to 20y, right, so we have y is equal to 20, y equal to, no, y equal to 2x, yeah, y greater than 20 first of all. So y greater than or equal to 20, we start with y equal to 20. So we have 120 here, and draw a horizontal line passing through 20. Okay, so first of all, I'm just drawing the line, and then we'll do the shading later. Then y is equal to 2x. So when x is 0, y is 0. When x is, for example, let's say 10, when x is 10, we have y is equal to 2 multiplied by 10, which is 20. So we have a coordinate 10, 20. So this is the 10, 20 right here. Okay, you see that 10, 20. Then when x is 20, y is 40. So that is why we have this line that goes this way. Okay. All right. Now the last line is x plus y is equal to 60. Okay, so remember, you can draw x, y. So when x is 0, you can see that y is 60. And when y is 0, you can see that x is 60 also. Okay, so meaning that you have the coordinate, meaning that we have the coordinate, sorry, I need to write it this way. When x is 0, y is 60 like that, and then when y is 0, x is 60 like that. Okay, so meaning that we have the coordinate 0, 60 and 60, 0. So 60, 0 is, let me use the red one, 60, 0 is right here, and 0, 60 is on top right there. Okay, so that is that, and then we just connect. So I just connected these 2 points, 0, 60 and 60, 0, and I have this line here which I've already drawn. I'm just drawing red for emphasis. Okay, now how is the shading? So the first shading is x is greater than or equal to 10. So meaning that when you stand at the line y equal to 10, we are shading this region that goes this way. Okay, that is what we are shading. So from here, you are shading that side like that. But at the same time, we are shading y to be greater than or equal to 20. So the line y equal to 20 is this one. So for those values that are greater, it's going up like that. Okay, it's going up like that, but we're not going to shade everything because we know that it should be in the center here. Okay, how do I know it is in the center? Because when you're at 10, you're on the right, on the x-axis, on the 10 on the right, and when you're at 20 in the y-axis, you're up. And what about this other one? So the other one is y is less than or equal to 2x. Okay, so for this one, you just pick a point randomly. So why am I not like on the left side of the line y equal to x? Because for example, if I pick a point at 0, 60, right, I will have y is 60 and x is 0. So I'm getting like 60 is less than 0, which is not true. So I cannot be on the left side of the curve. So the point should be inside, okay? And for x plus y less than 60, I should be below, right? Because if I pick a point, say on top here, 60, 60, if I pick 60, 60, and the line is x plus y less or equal to 60, I'm getting 60 plus 60 less than 60, which is not true. So I cannot shade the upper part of this line. Therefore, I should shade below here at the bottom, okay? So putting everything that we have shaded so far, we realize that this is the shaded region, okay, where the solution must lie in that order. Now the next part is if the profit on the sale of type P scones is 15 and the profit of type Q scones is 20, find the number of each type of scones he must bake to make the maximum profit. Okay, so in this case we just want to find how many scones they must bake to make the profit. So if you look at this graph here, you realize that the maximum can be obtained at the corners. So I observe the corner here, right, at the corner of this triangle, which is the point 10, 20, and the point right here on the right side of the triangle, which is 40, 20, and one on top here, which is 20, 40 in that order. Okay, so I'm just picking x, y in the corners of this triangle right here. Okay, so when we do that, we have these points 1, 2, 3, 3 points, which are just x, y. So I want to check which point of this will maximize this profit. So remember, the profit is, the question is, sale of type P scone is 15, right? So you are multiplying 15 by x, right? Because P is for x, right? So 15 by x and 10 by 20, right? I don't know what is x and what is 20, what is y. That is what I am computing for. All right, so the next thing will be to compute this, right? So let's say we have P is equal to 15 x plus 20y. So let us go ahead and see at 10, 20. So I just plug in and compare. So this is P is equal to 15, x is 10, plus 20, y is 20. And if I do this product, I get 150 plus 400. And if I add this, I get 550. Okay, so the profit is 550 in this case if I sell 10 scones of type X and 20 of type Y. So I'm not done yet because I need to also check if I sell 40 of type X and 20 of type Y. What is the value of P, or what is the profit? So that is 15 multiplied by 40 plus 20. 15 multiplied by 40 plus 20 multiplied by 20, which is just 300 plus, actually 600, not 300. This should be 600 plus 400, which will be 1000. So you can see that 1000 is bigger than 550, but we're not yet done because we still have to check another point, which is 20,40. So this is P is equal to 15, 20 plus 20, 14, and 15 by 20 is 300, plus 20 by 40 is 800. If you sum this, you get 1100 or 1100. Okay, so among these three numbers that we have found, one is 550, two is 1000, and three is 1100. Which one is bigger? So which one is bigger? It's obvious, it's 1100. So because 1000 is 100 and 1100 was achieved at 20,40, we conclude that the maximum profit, like that, occurs at x is equal to 20 and y is equal to 40. Just like that. So what this means is that for this person to make a maximum profit, because x is for p, right? So it means they need 20 type p scones, like that, and 40 type q scones to make the profit. Okay, now the last part of this problem says calculate the estimate of the maximum profit. So already we have already computed from the previous problem, right, that we at 10,20 we have 550, at 40,20 we have 1000, and at 20,40 we have 1100. So the maximum profit here is D. Maximum profit is ngati. So we already found 1100. That is the largest of all the values that we computed. So that is how linear programming goes in grade 12 paper 2 mathematics.